some of the articles locally.
Hey, well, didn't you
There's
tell
that
us not to
downtown in
believe everything
Portland,
we
there's a
hear?
number of tents and stuff. And so the question is, where's the money coming from, and where is this money coming from? What can we learn about where the Occupy Portland? No, we're not saying that everything's co-opted, sir, but we are saying that certain aspects of the Occupy Wall Street protests have become corrupted by bad money. So there's something that you're aware of or want to talk about, feel free, you have the floor.
Alex, you got your wires crossed, man. You know what's happening? You're not there. Maybe that's the reason.
He's in Texas.
See you later, man.
Okay, thanks for calling.
Yeah, I'm not really hearing him very well. Kind of sound like an angry caller. That's actually another thing that I want to address. One thing that I noticed on the Occupy Portland Facebook page was a lot of anger, a lot of rage. There's even a lot of conspiracy paranoia, like, Alex, why did you move to Texas? Are you in a conspiracy with Alex Jones to create a new network? I did see Alex Jones at the Occupy the Fed protest. He bullhorned there, but we didn't talk. Alex kind of acts like he didn't remember me. It's kind of interesting. But, that doesn't bother me too much. But it's silly when people think that we're in some sort of a, partnership together. I think that what the caller probably doesn't understand, what a lot of people don't understand, is that we should have full accountability and transparency when other people try to come in and steer protests. What I'm saying to the caller watching the show right now, even though we had a little bit of miscommunication there, and I can't hear your question fully via Skype video. When George Soros, when other bankers, when even the head of Goldman Sachs or the head of the Federal Reserve in Dallas say, we support Occupy Wall Street, they're trying to distract from the real criminality going on in banks today. The banks wouldn't be in the position that they're in today unless the government helped them. Now that the house of cards is imploding, and there's less to go around, millions are going to lose their unemployment benefits in 2012. They want to have a race war in this country, my friend, and we have to prevent that. They want to have a class war in this country, and we need to work to prevent that. And less than all of this, we have to learn to become more compassionate. I went down and I interviewed, for those that have the internet, you can look on my YouTube channel and see some of the mail street interviews that I did in Dallas. And there are some people that are planning to reelect Obama in 2012 because they truly believe that he's against Wall Street. And people that criticize Obama, they're with the big banks. They're with the evil capitalist cronies. And so that's very sad. And this is very typical of what happens to societies when they go through a full-on crash. There's a mass media propaganda out there to take people away from the truth and, again, start pointing the finger at one another, and we need to stay away from that. We need to be aware of how they're trying to steer things and engineer things so we don't fall into a trap. So we spend our time on the things that matter, building community, working on our relationships, getting involved in local government, not getting involved in chasing our tail. There's lots of that going on today.
We have that caller again if you'd like to try one more time.
Okay. So we have a new caller. We're still on the same caller.
It's the same caller, but he called back.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller. You're on the air.
Go ahead, caller.
Caller. I guess he's not there.
Hello?
Oh, there he is. Yeah, go ahead. Are you there? All right, we can't mess around.
Bill, can you hear me? It's one phone call per show, and we can hear you through here. So there's going to be certain people who are going to want to call in, and they're not going to stop calling. We're not going to let them just take the show. Okay. Continue on here. Occupy Wall Street call for global governance. This is also something else that we need to be aware of. There are certain portions of the protest that think that we need some sort of a global governance board. And it's all under the guise of democracy. Unfortunately, you just can't use the word democracy in this day and age and of course, be completely legit. Because democracy also translates to mob rule. If you can convince 51% of the population and tell the other 49% what to do, you have a form of mob rule. It's not a republic. So when we talk about people calling for a manifesto that includes a strong call for global democracy, and in particular democratic rule over the international financial system, we're talking about a board of directors that are going to look at the whole financial system that are sitting up here looking down at all the world's affairs. Now, that's not democracy, that's not a republic, and that's the end of national sovereignty. And that's what people like me have been talking about for years. Long before 9/11, long before I came to Access and started to show that we are seeing so many different pieces of evidence that we're on a path to global government, where we're going to lose our freedoms, lose our rights, lose what we used to call America. We're talking about America in the past sense. And we're seeing this more and more as the U.S. is racing forward towards bankruptcy. So global government is being offered as a solution to the banking criminality. That, in fact, was engineered and allowed to happen from the top down. But it gets even more interesting. Gorbachev. We're going to have to jump down to this one. Gorbachev sees New World Order developing, and that's from ABC News. So China and Russia, they support the Occupy Wall Street protests. They also want to see an end to capitalism. But we're all witnessing the end of free market capitalism, not the end of crony capitalism. And that's the common enemy of all of us, whether you see yourself as left or right, an Occupy Wall Street protester or a Tea Partier. Our common enemy are the crony capitalists. They're involved in the monopoly. We have a similar common enemy. But if you're watching the mainstream media, you're not going to learn that. So Russia stands to benefit from what's happening in the U.S. So does China. He's calling for a new world order to develop. As former Soviet Union President Gorbachev says he believes that protests now going on in many places signal the emergence of a new world order movement. And that's a quote, new world order movement. The 80-year-old Gorbachev told 3,600 people in Pennsylvania last Wednesday night that global governments need to work towards a more humane and more just world. The Express Times reported that Gorbachev said opportunities at the end of the Cold War were not used properly. He said the breakup of the Soviet Union, some U.S. Leaders and scholars aimed for a new American empire, and as the result has been continuing poverty, environmental and development problems. So it all sounds good. It all sounds like they're the bipolar opposite of the West. But they're all involved in this illegal war in the Middle East. They're all involved and merged at the hip on that level. For those that are truly anti-war can see that they never were able to launch this war by themselves. They all work together. The Russians were outside Afghanistan along with U.S. troops in the days before 9/11. They knew what was going to happen. They know the truth about 9/11. So are the Chinese. You are witnessing the staged theater of war. You're witnessing a lie. You're going to see this stuff build and build and build in the years to come. Russia versus the United States versus China, and it's all staged completely front to end. I'm telling you the truth. I mean, every week, every month, Bill, I just see more evidence of this. They're going to stage a world war. This is not going to be pretty. We're never going to pay back our debts. Meanwhile, they continue to have TSA checkpoints. They continue to build FEMA camps in this country. They continue to do drills over cities like Portland, Oregon, and most people just don't give a damn. Because the Novocaine ain't worn off yet. I'm telling you what, one day the Novocaine is going to wear off, and you won't be able to get your food supply then. I got to get back to the news, but some people think this is all about survival. I went to Dallas, Texas. Okay, being homeless in Portland got old for a while. Okay, so the prospect of doing more videos, putting out more news, that's why I left. I left my food supply. I left my grab-and-go kit on faith in something higher than fear of not surviving, on faith that this was a good move and where I'm supposed to be right now to focus on this stuff. I felt a certain need to get away from the west coast of the U.S. And if everything's fine, then I can come back tomorrow or the month after that. But for right now, I'm going to watch things from the middle of the country because this is not a joke. The things I've been discussing since I came here in 2004 are not a joke. I don't make things up. I don't extract gratification or pleasure from scaring people. It's a calling to warn you that these things are on the table. It doesn't mean you have to agree. But calling in and going, whoa, what are you saying? This is going, no, what do you mean we're all bought off? And
he was saying we need you here rather than there. And, it's a universal protest all across the country. It's not just a West Coast or East Coast thing, though.
No, there's something that's sparking in the minds of men. And there are a lot of different, we talk about solar flares on the show, but not in the context that the world is ending, but that we're going through a world of great change. And to be aware of this great change puts you in a better position. Okay, we need to let go of the old world and build a new world without a new world order. And so there are mass protests taking place. There are more TV shows starting up every day. There are more online radio networks starting up every day. Yes, we know they're targeting the web. But before the web is gone, we're going to use this information. We're going to use this ability to have instantaneous communication. I'm connecting with Bill on Skype video, and he's putting this on a laptop so I can talk to you on Access TV. I mean, that's technology. We're witnessing us go in the next evolutionary leap, sharing information. So why should we remain to be slaves? Why should we remain down here at the bottom with us abusing us and controlling us and hurting us into smaller and smaller confined realities when there's so much more possible? When there's so much more that we can do, when there's so many different free energy technologies out there that we can utilize in a world without oil, so many different ways we can feed ourselves by localizing our food. There are so many things that we can do. And I think in a lot of different cases, we're going to be forced in a crisis to exercise our strength. So Gorbachev, like Bush, like even Ahmadinejad, you can find that on YouTube, they've all made reference to this good new world order that's going to save us from ourselves. See video of Gorbachev doing this years ago. So this is just an echo of what he said earlier. Now, in the next report, Russia nears WTO membership, clearing European Union hurdle. And that comes to us from the Wall Street Journal. Russia and the EU said Friday that they had removed their final bilateral barriers to Moscow's ascension to the World Trade Organization. This deal puts the biggest economy outside the WTO, the closest it has ever been to membership since it started negotiations 17 years ago. While that's taking place, Putin, who's about to return to power next year, the year after that, he's going to start running in March 2012. Russia has eye on Europe. Putin wants his own. We have a couple of graphics of this. Putin wants his own Eurasian Union. And I've got multiple scripts here, so I want to go over here and talk. So while people are focused on saying ending capitalism, have a class war, tax the rich, China and Russia are sitting by and saying, yes, destroy yourself, America. And then Russia today is pointing out all this stuff. They're the number one group, media outlet that's covering the protests. And I'm not saying there's not truth on what I'm saying. Yes, there's a big show on the box.
You're breaking up. Uh-oh. I think we're losing you. You still there?
You want to call me back? Hang up and call me back.
I think it's working. Let's just go with it. If you can keep talking, go with it.
Okay, so, well, I'm losing my train of thought here. We've got Russian media, okay, that's run by Putin, who's ex-KGB. We're talking about Russia today. And they're giving a lot of time to focusing on these protests with the ending capitalism, in capitalism message. Now, of course, we have a problem here. The problem is people don't understand the free market works, especially when you want to run your own local business, your own grocery store, okay? There's a lot of independent businesses in Portland that you should support instead of going to Walmart. And that exists because of the free market. The guy with the hot dog stand, the guy with the that's free market capitalism. That is not communism or socialism. When you go to Saturday market and you sell your stuff, that's the free market. When you have a bank being given $75 trillion from the Federal Reserve, guaranteed equity, guaranteed